Visine and clear eyes are actually terrible for your eyes. So Visine and clear eyes get the red out. That's what they're made for. And when you get the red out of something, you're not fixing the problem, you're covering it up again. And so what it actually does is it just shrinks your blood vessels. What happens is eventually you start getting addicted to these drops because they constantly shrink your blood vessels. And what happens is every time you take them, your blood vessels do what's called a rebound reaction, and they actually get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so the more you take them, the redder your eye's going to get. Therefore, you're addicted to them, and it's a never-ending cycle. And I have patients that take them, 4 to 10 times a day to get the red out. And really, we just need to address the underlying issue, which is usually dry eye.
Oh, and a full year, and that lets you save. Who cares?
True Form Life.
Green look.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Couldn't be more excited to have you here with us tuning in. If you're brand new, we are nationally syndicated across Canada. We are also a podcast on iTunes and other platforms around the world. So wherever you're listening, thank you so much for being here, for tuning in, for being a part of our True Form Life community, and for being here with us. Now, today I'm bringing on Dr. Travis Zigler. You heard about him, or what he's about, in the introduction there. And again, I couldn't be more excited to have him here with us. And what I like most about what he's doing is that he talks about the root of the issue and how there's a lot of things that we can do in life in general to mask or hide that real issues that's going on. So Dr. Zigler is going to get to the root of the issue right here with dry eye and other preventable things like blindness. For example, he's going to talk about illness of the eyes, diseases, or disease, like I like to call it. A lot of tips and takeaways here. I'm super interested in this subject myself, so I go a little in depth for my own purposes, which I hope you enjoy as well. So sit back. We got all that coming up on...
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
All right, welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. You heard all about Travis in the introduction. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Travis.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. All right, so eyes, it's kind of interesting that eyes kind of came up. We did have some type of conversation a couple of years ago about eyes, but eyes is something that is interesting to me, especially as we get older, because I feel like I kind of have different insights or different types of mindset in certain areas, and I'm super excited to hear your perspective and what you feel about eye health in general and how to prevent eye or blindness. And there's just a lot of different areas that we can go with this, so we're just gonna jump in here and see where the conversation goes as usual. Travis, tell us about yourself, maybe a bit of your history and what you're doing now for our audience.
Yeah, that sounds great. Again, thanks for having me on. Back in 2003, I graduated high school. I grew up in a small town called Bryan, Ohio, and went to college and university at The Ohio State University and graduated with my doctorate of optometry in 2010. And I worked for a private practice and a Walmart practice for 5 years in Columbus, Ohio. I actually worked with my uncle. And then in 2015, my wife and I decided to do our own thing, and we actually moved down to South Carolina, where we live now. And we opened up 2 practices down here. At the same time that we opened those 2 practices, we actually started an eye wellness and eye health company online called I Love, and that's at ilovethesun.com. And we sell sunglasses, and we also sell eye wellness products such as supplements for dry eye, supplements for macular degeneration, which are both eye diseases, of course. And then we sell some sprays, and we just try to teach people how to heal or how to treat their diseases with more of a natural approach versus more of a medication approach. And so that's where we are now. We're 2 years into both of those companies, the practice and the eye wellness company online, and we actually sold one of the practices so we could focus more online. And the reason we did the online business is because we felt like we could impact more patients than we can one-to-one in our clinic.
Well, that's awesome. How did you get into eyes specifically?
Eyes specifically, when I was in undergrad, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do veterinarian, pre-med, or optometry. And my uncle, being an optometrist and working right beside Ohio State University, my parents just said, why don't you just go work for him, see if you like it? And then I started working for him in 2003, and then I loved it, so applied for optometry school in 2006 and got in.
How long does optometry school take?
It's 4 years after your undergrad studies.
Seems like a lot of studying going on there. And that's and that's all to eyes? Like you're just studying eyes the whole time for 4 years?
So the first year is mostly physiology of the body and anatomy of the body. So you're learning pretty much all disease process. Because a lot of people think that an eye doctor just does eyes, and we really take a whole systemic approach to eye health and a systemic approach to your health. And a lot of people don't realize it, but the eyes are the only place in the body that we can look into and see live blood vessels without cutting you open. And so looking at these live blood vessels, you can tell a lot about somebody, such as if they have high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, and that can all be seen very non-invasively just by us dilating your pupils and looking into the back of the eye.
I went for an eye test and I sat there, and I'm a questions person. Of course, I've been doing the show for over 6 years now, so I can ask questions all day. And I just had a million questions for this optometrist, and she was great. She was just very patient and answered all my questions. I want to know your perspective on eyes as we age. Now, I kind of feel like it's just accepted, almost like health. Now, I have no idea what your perspective is, but I do feel like as we age, we feel like it's acceptable for our health to decline. And personally, I feel that we can live healthy as we get older, so we shouldn't expect to decline. I'd like to know what you feel about eyes. Like if it seems like a normal type of thing to, as we age, to get glasses or for our vision to decline. Can you talk about that for us?
Yeah, sure can. Part of the aging eye process is very normal. There's not much we can do about it, but other parts we can do something about it. And the part that you're probably describing or talking about is when you lose that ability to read. And that happens to pretty much everybody around the age of 40 to 45. And the reason that's happening is because we have a lens that's inside our eye. And that lens, when we're born, is very flexible. And so we relax the lens to see far away, and then we flex the lens to see up close. And that process is called focusing or accommodating. And what happens is every day of our lives, we add layer upon layer to this lens. As that lens gets thicker and thicker, that's when it gets less and less flexible. And remember, I said that we focus it or bend it to read. And so therefore, if we have a thicker lens, it's harder to bend. Therefore, it's harder to read. And so that continues to get worse. So that's a very natural and normal age processing or an aging process. The other part of eye diseases such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, diabetic eye disease, that can all be prevented just by eating a healthier diet and pretty much eliminating the deficiencies that are in pretty much every Western diet.
Okay. I love that you went to nutrition. I want to get into that in a second. I just want to clear up here. So when we age, that gets thicker and less flexible, so it makes it more challenging for us to see detail or to focus on smaller things like reading, for example?
You got it. Yep. And so through your 40s, you lose that ability to read, so you grab a pair of reading glasses, and then it continues to get thicker. And as you get into your 50s, what happens is your distance will also start being affected as well. And that's when you usually get your first full-time pair of glasses if you've never worn glasses your whole life.
And you're saying that there's not really much we can do about it. It's just the way it is.
That part of eye health, there is not much we can do about it, just because it's what I like to compare it to is a tree. When a tree is young, the trunk is very small and it can be bent very easily. But as a tree ages, as you know, it grows rings on that tree, and that's getting thicker and thicker. So if you have an 1,800-year-old tree, that trunk's going to be pretty sturdy and stiff. It's not going to move much. But if you have a 10-year-old tree, that trunk can move quite a bit. And so that's what I like to compare the lens of your eye to.
And then, so I understand that. So now, strengthening eyes in general, is there anything that we can do? Not so much, I understand as we age that gets thicker and it's more difficult to flex. But in your opinion, would there be anything that you can do to strengthen eyes that someone may be dealing with now? Or is it just your eyes just naturally kind of get weaker and there's not much that we can do to strengthen?
So you've probably seen programs out there where like the See Clearly method, or that's all about strengthening the muscles of your eye. And of course, you can strengthen the muscles inside your eye that bend that lens. In my opinion, it's more work than it's worth. And so it's just a matter of like any kind of workout. If you don't use a muscle, it's going to get weaker. And so if you actively engage the muscle inside your eye, you will fight that off to a later age, but it's not going to completely eliminate it.
Okay, so you could, if you want, like you could do some eye exercises, you could increase the flexibility. And I think we understand that as we age that it just naturally gets weaker, but there are things that you could do if someone was willing.
Yes, you could do it. And it's something called vision therapy.
Thanks for clearing that up for me here.
No, you're welcome.
And then, so moving on here, I know we talked about, like, some of your notes here is preventable blindness. That's something that you're passionate about. Tell me where that comes from. Where does that interest you on a deep level?
A lot of people don't realize that what preventable blindness is. And preventable blindness is just the lack of glasses that's in the world. And so, meaning that there's 700 million people in this world blind due to lack of glasses. So if you grab a pair of readers that are over the counter at Dollar General and you throw them on a patient that's in this third world country, it lights them up because they thought they were going blind because they could no longer read, going back to what we just talked about. And then you throw a pair of reading glasses on them and it lights them up because they can see again and they're not blind. They don't feel like they're going blind anymore. And this all stemmed from a mission trip I did. It was my very first time being out of the country, and it was in Ecuador. And this was my second year of optometry school. And I still remember this to this day, that putting a pair of glasses on somebody, thought they were blind, that could no longer see, and just seeing their reaction, it changes you forever. And so we do these mission trips every October, and we go to Jamaica now. And just it never gets old. Putting glasses on somebody that's never had glasses, and then all of a sudden they can see again. And we have multiple pictures and videos on our website that just show the reactions of them. And it's a feeling like no other.
I'd love to see that. We're going to get a chance to talk about your website and such at the end, but can you tell me where I can find those videos?
Yeah, so our I Love website is ilovethesun.com, and that's EYELOVETHESUN, so ilovethesun.com. And we have lots of videos on there, a lot of videos of us talking about our story and everything. And then the pictures are kind of intermingled throughout. And if anybody wants more information, just there's a newsletter list. We always send out updates when we're doing our mission trips, and we always put it on our Facebook page too, which is I Love.
So we can go to your website to learn more about maybe how you could help out or how you could do something like this to join in on the fun.
Yeah, so our I Love website, any purchase you make from that I Love is a for-profit business, but we use our profits to then donate to a charity we have, which is the I Love Cares Foundation. But if you make a purchase on I Love or on Amazon from our brand, and then you can also just make a direct donation at ilovecares.org.
Now I want to talk about nutrition. This is a big topic for me. For our audience knows that we often talk about nutrition in different ways. Can you tell us about how food can improve our eyesight or help our eyesight, and your perspective around nutrition?
Yeah, I could go pretty deep into this because it's something that I'm really doing a lot of research on right now because, as you know, with any medical school or optometry school, we are trained in Western medicine, which is, in my belief now, is very symptom-based medicine, where we figure out, like, we see that you're having a problem and then we treat it with a medication that just kind of treats the symptom and doesn't get to the underlying problem. And so most disease is your body's way of telling you that you're doing something wrong. And so I like to think of what can we do to correct the course instead of just try to cover up the course and just try to fix the symptoms. And I push more of like a minerally, most of our diets are very mineral deficient. And if we had these minerals in our diet, we would actually avoid a lot of disease such as macular degeneration, diabetes, high blood pressure. That can all be avoided if we just took more minerals, and not just artificial minerals like in a supplement, but if you took it in your food. And that comes from eating more organic-based, plant-based food. And more specifically, if we're focusing on eyes, especially for this episode, lutein, spinach, and any carotenoids, so colorful vegetables, light colored peppers that are yellow, orange, red. Then you have carrots, which have beta-carotene. But the two biggest ones are kale and spinach. So if you can stomach kale or get used to kale, that's going to be your best fight against any eye disease.
Sometimes the show once a week or even twice a week just isn't enough. So if you want more content, if you want to know more about what we're doing at True Form Life, you can find us on Facebook. We're on there posting at least twice a day, in the morning and the evening. That's at facebook.com/trueformlife, or on Instagram. That's kind of my favorite platform. I like to post my food pictures and some of the activities that I do, maybe hiking or whatever that may be. And that's just at Drew Tadia on Instagram, and then Twitter as well. That's at trueformlife. So we're highly active. We'd love to connect with you. So find us on your social media platform and let us know how you're enjoying our show.
Trueform Life.
So tell me about some of these eye diseases that could come up or that do come up.
So macular degeneration is the biggest one, and the macula is your central vision. That's how you see 20/20. That's how you see detail. And so macular degeneration is just a degeneration or degrading of the macula. And what we see with that is just, it's a degradation of the cells that make up the macula. And the reason that's happening is because there's free radicals in there that are just tearing up the cells, and the cells aren't functioning like they used to. And so what we do is we treat it with what's called an AREDS 2 supplement, which is an age-related eye disease supplement. And this is just a supplement that was based on some studies done by the National Health Institute. My opinion on that is it's good to take this supplement if you have macular degeneration. But again, going back to food as a medicine, if you can change your diet into a more plant-based antioxidant diet, you're going to pretty much hopefully reverse the macular degeneration. There's no studies on this, but there are people that have reversed macular degeneration just by switching their diet completely to that plant-based, kale-based, spinach, having a lot of carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin and mesoxanthin and astaxanthin. Those are all just fancy words for antioxidants that are in kale and spinach that really help clean up that macula area and get those free radicals out of there so those cells can function properly.
And how often I would imagine we're just changing our lifestyle, we're changing our diet. How often are we eating these foods throughout the day, each day? This is something that we want to consume?
Yeah, exactly. So to give you an example of what my diet is I eat a green smoothie every morning. It's either going to have spinach or plant-based. And then for lunch, I also have a green smoothie, spinach or plant-based. So I'm constantly consuming organic spinach and organic kale just because I know how good it is for me. And then at nighttime, my wife and I focus on a very plant-based diet. So we eat a lot of vegetables and soups, and this is all organic vegetables and organic broths, and we try to stay away from dairy. We eat very vegan at home, but we also eat meat when we go out. So we're not completely plant-based, but we eat meat probably once a week to once a month, and we limit it. And so we're very focused on pretty much that plate of vegetables is our basis of our diet.
That's awesome. I kind of feel we're on the same page there. I'm kind of the same way. I rarely buy meat. I might buy a piece of fish every once in a while. And then when you go out, it's a bit challenging at times. You may go to a family or you go to a restaurant, and then maybe a little piece of chicken sounds better. But everyone says, are you vegan or vegetarian? And I say, well, I don't really have a label. I just eat.
Flexitarian.
Flexitarian. I like that. I'm going to use it.
Yep, that's what I use.
So I just eat what I feel like eating at the time, and it just happens to be far less meat than it used to be, and just seems to be progressively getting less and filling that up with plants.
And it's really cool that we have a community online on Facebook. It's called the Dry Eye Syndrome Support Community, because that's what we focus on, is helping you cure your dry eye naturally. And we really push, we love people to take our supplements and use our products, but my goal ultimately with that community is to get everybody off all their medications. And I want you even to stop taking our supplements eventually, because we've naturally cured your dry eye through diet. And that's what we push. We actually train everybody in that community how to eat better, how to make smoothies, how to make dinners with more plant-based and vegetable-based diets. And that we've actually had some really good results so far. And this is a young community. We started in October of last year, so it's only about a year old. But we have people coming back to us saying they've lost 20 pounds and that they've felt better than ever because they just started something simply as the green smoothie in the morning. And it's been very rewarding to see that. And it's been a journey, and it's been a lot of fun.
Tell me more about this dry eye. Is it exactly what it sounds like?
So dry eye in general, or the community?
The dry eye. Well, I guess the dry eye. The reason you started the community, right?
Yeah, so we started focusing on dry eye because I worked in a dry eye clinic for 5 years, and we sell supplements like omega-3s for dry eye, and it has some other things like vitamins A, C, E, magnesium, and there's some other things that are in a dry eye supplement as well. But dry eye in general, I do think it is, like I talked about earlier, a symptom of an overall disease of the body. And so I think your body's in this chronic low-grade inflammation all the time from your Western diet of high poor fats and meat-based diet, processed foods, and very just everything in a box, everything in a can is all very processed. And having that diet pretty much makes it so you're not consuming the right fats, you're not consuming the right nutrients, and you're not even getting nutrients in some of the cases. And if we can get your body out of that low-grade inflammation state, you're going to get rid of all your symptoms of arthritis, of eczema, psoriasis, and dry eye is just one of those symptoms. I don't consider dry eye a disease per se, even though it technically is. I think it's just a symptom of an overall low-grade inflammation. And so I do a lot of nutritional counseling with my patients. Do they take it? I live in South Carolina. It's a little harder to convince people in the South to eat healthy, but it's something that I do push quite a bit, and I have worksheets that I give them and I give to our community members, and we just focus really a lot on getting rid of that low-grade inflammation that your body's constantly in due to your diet and getting out of that state with nutrition.
So dry eye is like high blood pressure. It's it's a lifestyle. We can make adjustments to improve our health. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. I think, all these diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, dry eye, it's all a symptom of an overall body disease. And actually in school, what we call it is metabolic syndrome X. And it's where you pretty much have, if you ever notice it, you'll see a diabetic that will always have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And if you see somebody with high cholesterol, they have some form of high blood pressure or diabetes. And you'll always see that because it's called metabolic syndrome X. It's your body's low-grade inflammation constantly, or your body's in low-grade inflammation constantly, and so you have all these symptoms like what diabetes causes and high blood pressure causes.
And what is dry eye specifically? Does that mean you have dry eyes?
Yeah, so dry eye the symptoms are dryness of your eyes. It's hard to keep your eyes open, irritation, itching, redness, and then it's pretty much an inflammation on the surface of your eye. And so we treat it with steroids and immunosuppressant drops, which reduce the immune system. And again, I think you're not treating the cause of it, you're just helping the symptoms of it.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I mean, I feel a bit ignorant to that, what's going on there. I'd imagine those tuning in that there would be a big crowd with dry eyes. I didn't know it was such a, I suppose I've been fortunate to have healthy eyes, but I didn't know this was such a big thing. This is a lot of people deal with this on a regular basis.
Yeah, we in the United States alone, there's about 30 to 40 million. Canada, of course, not as much, but it's probably about the same percentage of about 10% of people, or 10 to 15% of people dealing with it. And I'd say Canada probably has a higher number than 10 to 15% because of the dry winters and just the non-humid environment that's up there.
It reminds me of that commercial. I don't know if you ever seen the commercial, but it's a really boring guy. I think his name might have been Ben, and he talks really nasally, and he says, "Use these drops for dry eye syndrome."
That's Ben Stein and Clear Eyes.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what it reminded me of. But I've seen the commercials, but I didn't know it was like such a big thing.
Yeah, so go into that. Visine and Clear Eyes are actually terrible for your eyes.
Oh, well, that's good to know. And is there something they could use if they need some immediate relief, or some kind of, can you drop, saline solution or any?
So there are over-the-counter artificial tears. Again, just covering up a symptom. They're not fixing a problem. But I do recommend artificial tears if you need symptom relief. I don't recommend them as the treatment. And again, going back to the treatment that we've talked about, just diet and exercise and then supplementation. But the drops are there for symptom relief if you need a drop here and there.
All right. That was fantastic, Travis. I so much appreciate you coming on. I have those questions that have kind of been lingering around. I told you I just went to an eye doctor, and I feel like I've had strong, healthy eyes, and it's just been something that's been on my mind. It seems like a lot of people around me are moving towards glasses and talking about their eyes, so I thought I should pay more attention to this stuff. So it was super cool that I got a message from you to come on, and it's great to have you here. Before we let you go, tell us more about yourself, your website, and what you have going on for people that want more information.
Yeah, so thanks for letting me do this as well. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can just go on Facebook and just type in Dr. Travis Zigler, Zigler, and I have a public profile there. You can add me on there, and then I respond to that pretty quickly. The Dry Eye Syndrome Support Community on Facebook, just type in Dry Eye and in Facebook, and we'll pop right up. And then if you want to get on our email list, where we're pretty much teaching you how to fix disease and not deal with it. Ours is more based towards dry eye, but this email sequence is teaching you how to become healthy overall. And what you'll notice is as you treat your dry eye, other diseases will go away. You'll start to lose weight. It's a pretty neat system that we're developing with that. And that's at dryeyecommunity.com. You just enter your email address, and then we just send you information every once in a while. You can always unsubscribe at any time, but it's pretty much my wife and I control that email. And so you'll get emails from us talking about how to cure disease rather than just treat it. And so dryeyecommunity.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Travis. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for your insights. Hope to stay with you. I'm going to join your communities here to make sure I'm doing everything I should be doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for sticking around till the end. I think it's so important. Eyes is kind of goes along with teeth, for example, and something that we don't really pay attention to, which I do have another show coming up about mouth health. So get excited for that. But I want to thank Travis for coming on and sharing his insights with us and his tips and suggestions. As with health in general, as we talk about prevention, I feel that prevention has everything to do with everything. And if we work towards prevention on a regular basis, we wouldn't have to treat so much. And our whole medical world would be flipped upside down, and we'd be doing the things that we should be doing so we don't have to wait in line to get medication, or we don't have to sit in hospital beds and think about what we could have done to prevent. And that's going to make a big difference in our lives overall. And I love that Travis was talking about how food relates to our eyes as well, because I think that's something that we don't pay attention to or we don't consider. And for me, as I talked about earlier in the show, it's not okay for me to be like, oh, we're getting older and my health is declining. And just to expect that. I spend a lot of time at the beach, which is a bit different from where I spend the other part of my life is in Canada, where it's cooler and colder. And when you go to the beach, you see people that are all kinds of different ages, particularly older, that are playing beach volleyball. They're riding their bikes down the street or the strand. They're more active. And I feel like it depends, in large part, your environment controls so many different things, but a lot of that has to do with our health and how we feel about our health. And just because we're getting older doesn't mean that that our health should decline, and that's what we should expect in our lives, because it's just not true. And like I said, you can pick one side of the world and you can look at the other side, or one country to the other country, and depending on the beliefs and environment, you can have a completely different mindset of what you consider health and how you expect your health to increase or improve or decline as you get older. And it's the same difference when it comes to eyes. So understand that I liked how Dr. Travis Zigler was saying that we can actually do eye exercises. I personally do eye exercises, and I also think that he was mentioning that we can do things like eat better types of foods or better quality foods, which we can all get better at. So I'm going to leave you with that. Once again, thank you for being here. More details as to what we have going on at trueformlife.com. We actually are offering exclusively for Exploring Mind and Body listeners for our monthly membership. The first month is $1. So it's a $99 value, and we're offering it for $1 for your first month, just to come in and check it out to see what we have going on. It's tons of fun. We have plank challenges. We have step challenges. We have a great online online community there where we put up meal plans, recipes, grocery shopping lists, and we also put up fitness routines and offer group support. So head over to trueformlife.com for more details. Just send us a message and let us know you're interested, and we'll set you up. We'll give you a sneak peek for the first month to come inside and see what we have going on. All these past shows are going up on exploringmindandbody.com. Don't forget to download our free app on any Apple device so you can take the show with you wherever you go. I'm going to leave you with that. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.